Hi everyone, welcome, or I guess welcome back to my channel if you are not new here. July's over. It is July 30th, and this month went by so fast. I didn't read as much as I wanted to, or that I had planned. I sort of had a reading slump, which you saw the video of me posting that. Like, I was in a bit of a slump and I didn't really want to read or anything like that. I also sound horrible because I feel like I'm getting sick even though it's the middle of summer, but we just went from super hot weather to I guess colder weather even though it's still 70 degrees outside. But yeah, my throat is not happy with me. But anyways, let's get into what I read this month. Yeah. So the first book I read, I actually don't have with me. One of my friends is borrowing it. It's called Win, Lose, Kill, Die. And it's basically about this, I guess you can say elite academy, and there's someone, died, and then more people keep dying, and it's called the head girl, I guess. The head girl keeps dying, and the person next in line moves up to that spot, and then they end up, getting killed, whatever. And they're basically trying to figure out who is doing it, and who is, killing all these students, stuff like that, and the students are trying to figure it out as well as stay alive at the same time. So yeah, I will just say the ending was not what I was expecting. I don't know, I had my theories, of who it was, and I did not think it was the person who it was, which was so crazy because usually I'm pretty spot on, but yeah. But I think it was a good read. I gave it 3 stars just because I feel like it could have been better. I don't know, it just as good as it was, I have read better. So it's just a 3, which is good, and I do recommend it to my friends. It's you can tell one of my friends, I gave it to her to read. She is new into reading, and I felt like this is a good book for her to start off with the thriller and stuff with because she doesn't read a lot. Okay, the next book I read was Butcher and Blackbird, which I don't know what I was expecting, but I honestly, okay, I saw it on TikTok and I was like, oh, I like the cover, it seems cool. Didn't really know anything about it until I read the back. When I after I bought it, I read the back and I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting at all. But I did really like it. I gave it 4 stars. I think it's a cutie romance. It isn't, but it is. I don't know. I'm kind of a dark person. I have dark humor. So I thought it was really cute, and their relationship was just so funny to me and just adorable. I did go out and buy the second book. I just haven't read it yet because I feel like I'm hearing mixed reviews about it and it's making me quite nervous. I also have so many books I really, really want to read right now. So yeah, it's just becoming constantly not knowing what to read at this rate. The next book I read was Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I'm behind the game, I know, because everyone literally read this, when it came out at the beginning of July, and I read it, I would say around then. No, that's wrong. I read it, yeah, 2 weeks into July is when I was reading it. I was reading other books. I wanted to read Win, Lose, Kill, Die. I wanted to read Butcher and Blackbird, and I just thought, get those out of the way, and then I'll read this one, because I feel like this one sort of wrecked me a little bit. I guess just didn't know what to read after, and going into it, I was so nervous. I said in my reading slump vlog that I was just nervous to read this, because I feel like after I read it, I'm gonna be I guess hungover and not really know what to do next and not know what to read next, which I hate feeling but yeah, I don't know. It's just some things that happen. This book was so good. I do want to say though, I predicted the ending. I had my theories of what would happen when they got back, and I'm mad about it, but I had a feeling it was gonna happen. And yeah, I just think Kit wants to punish everyone and make everyone feel the same way he does, which is so devastating, but I mean, he is the king, so he can do what he wants. But yeah, the ending really got me. I was a little mad about it, and the fact that the third book doesn't come out for a bit is just like so frustrating. That's all I can say. The next book I read was The Cheat Sheet. It was sort of a buddy read with one of my friends. We both picked it up at Barnes & Noble when we were together, and she was going abroad, so she wanted to read it on the plane. I read it, I was like a day ahead of her, so I started it, then she started it, then I like sort of finished it, she started finished it a couple days later. So yeah, I would say we were both sort of disappointed at the ending. I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, it was just like, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's because the romance I usually read is more spicy than this, but it was like a little disappointing. There was like no spice, but there was so much tension between the characters that I'm like, how do you not include a spice scene and just like give us a little hint of something? But yeah, I will say it was like 2 stars for me. It wasn't my favorite just because it's just like I felt like I was let down. Like there so much was built up, and then it was just like let down, and then it was, yeah, and then the ending, like I just like, for me, I've realized the romance book I read end in 2 ways, and I hate the ways both ways, but they always end that way, and it's so freaking frustrating. But I will keep reading them because I'm determined to find a 5-star romance book that I absolutely love, and I just haven't yet, and I'm waiting for the day it happens. The next book I read was right before I left for vacation, so I had a really busy month. We had 2 of my friends returning 22, we had like a week-long family vacation going on, we had other family things going on, like visiting my grandpa and stuff like that. So there's just like so much happening. I feel like I didn't read as much, especially with like the slump I was in as well. But I don't know, I still feel like I'm sort of in one. Like I just like haven't been reading as much as I usually do, which is fine. I have nothing against it, but yeah, I don't know why it's happening, if I'm quite honest. But yeah, anyways, the next book I read was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. For me, like a thriller, I feel like can always get me out of anything, and I love like a good like what's gonna happen book, and this one did not disappoint, I will say. I then like ended up reading The Vanishing Stair right after, while I brought it with me while I was on vacation, and I read it, or I listened to the audiobook in the car because we drove to Georgia and South Carolina, and it's probably about 12 to 13 hour drive from where we are. So I was listening to the audiobook of this one in the car, and I will say both are good. I gave both 4 stars. And just to like give preface for the first book, it says Ellingham Academy is a famous private school in Vermont founded by an early 20th century tycoon for the best and brightest students around. When Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped, the only clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. Their disappearance became one of the great unsolved crimes in history. Many years later, true crime aficionado Stevie Bell is set to begin her first year at the academy, and she is determined to solve this cold case. That is, she will solve it when she gets a grip on her demanding new school life and her housemates. The inventor, the novelist, the actor, the artist, and the jokester. But Truly Devious makes a surprise return. The past has crawled out of its grave, and someone has gotten away with murder. Which they did. Kinda. So, yeah, at the end of this book, you find out, like, one of the students dies, another one sort of, yeah. Let me just restart. One student dies, and on top of her trying to solve the like past cold case of the Ellingham family, she's also trying to, I guess, figure out what happened to the student that died, and everyone's saying it's an accident, but she doesn't believe that. So she's like digging into everything and trying to figure everything out. And there is, and I will say this, there is a subplot of romance, which is kind of cute, but it was cute in the first book. Second book, I just like, not so much. So basically in the first book she like doesn't solve it. A lot of stuff is happening. Second book she dives back into the case and she is towards the end she actually figures it out and is able to figure out what happened, but with that another sort of mysterious thing happens yet again. So now I'm starting the third book and it's gonna be, I guess, figuring out that one is what I'm thinking. But yeah, so yeah, I would say the little subplot of romance in this was a bit more frustrating just because of like what was happening and how it happened, but yeah, I need to see what happens in the third one. But I've been looking at Goodreads comments and people are like hating on the guy who ends up with Stevie Bell, and now I'm like really nervous because I didn't like him at the start and I wouldn't say I like him now, like I don't, but I do think they sort of like fit each other in a way. Like it's kind of like a cute little like aw situation. But yeah, so Vanishing Stair, she figures out the murder, she learns a lot about it, and basically is just like an actual detective at like 17, 18 years old, like, which is insane. Yeah, and I will say riddles, like the riddle at the first book about the killing, and then there's another riddle sort of important that you gets introduced in the first book, but it's more important in the second one, which I did not understand at all until the end of the book where she like sort of explains it. So yeah, I thought it was very interesting and I'm really excited. I am about to start the third one, which is called The Hand on the Wall. But yeah, because literally this is what it says. Ellingham Academy must be cursed. 3 people are now dead, 2 on campus, and now an accident in town has claimed another life. All at the exact moment of Stevie's greatest triumph. She knows who truly Devious is. She solved the greatest case of the century. At least she thinks she has. With so much tragedy, and with David missing, disappeared, and definitely up to something, it's hard to focus on the past. But Stevie is sure that somehow all these things connect. The 3 deaths in the present, the deaths in the past, the missing Alice Ellingham, and missing David Eastman. When a horrifying accident and impending snowstorm force an evacuation of Ellingham Academy, Celia realizes it's time to stay on the mountain and face the storm and murderer, and the tantalizing finale of the Truly Devious trilogy. So yeah, I'm like really excited to read this, if I'm quite honest. I was gonna start the audiobook on the way home from our trip, but I ended up sleeping most of the time, so that didn't happen. But yeah, I like didn't read that many books this month, which is honestly fine. I wasn't expecting to read a lot with how busy I was, but I'm hoping next month I am still like pretty busy, but I'm still hoping I get a decent amount of reading done. I do want to start Crescent City, and Divine Rivals is on my list, but I've started Divine Rivals twice. Like, I read the first chapter and then I just like close it and I'm like, I can't read this. Like, I'm just like bored, I feel. So that one's gonna be like I have to set a certain amount of time to like hopefully really get into it. So yeah. But if you made it this far, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.